Hey, I'm Sam, a Linode advocate. Today we'll be making a streaming app in React. Here's a quick preview of what it'll look like and how it's going to work. Building a video streaming application might seem daunting at first, but this guide will break down how this can be achieved. Specifically, we'll demonstrate how to implement a streaming service with the following components. A server-side Node.js application that will handle fetching and streaming videos, generating thumbnails for your videos, and serving captions and subtitles for videos. A client application in React that will consume the videos on our server. The application will have two views, a listing of videos that are available and a player view for each video. Before we start this tutorial, we're going to need a few things before we can get started. First, we'll need a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node/Express, and React. You'll also need a text editor or an IDE of your choice. You'll also need a web browser such as Chrome or Firefox. Then you'll need to install FFMPEG on your machine. Finally, we'll need Node.js so that we can install dependencies throughout the project. Alright, let's get started. To get started, we're going to create a new directory that will contain both components of our application. So we're going to make a folder for the server, and we're also going to make a folder for the client side. First, I want to create a folder called React Node Video Streaming. Then I want to cd into that folder. Now that we're inside the project folder, we then want to make another folder called server. Then I want to go into the server folder. Next, we'll run npm init. Just use all the default values for now. Okay, so now we've initialized npm inside the server folder. We want to install some dependencies. So we're going to run npm install save nodemon express cause. We're then going to let those install. Now that we've installed the packages that we need, we're going to create another folder called assets. Now you can see up here that the assets folder is inside our server folder. That's better. Next, we're going to go into the assets folder. Now that we're inside the assets folder, you'll need to go to the GitHub repo link in the description below and grab the video files that are on there. What we're going to do for now is we're going to put one of those videos into the assets folder just up here. We're then going to rename this one sample.mp4. Now from there, we're going to write some code. So, inside the assets folder, we will create a new file, which we're going to call app.js. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to declare a few variables here that we're going to require. First, we're going to do const express equals require express. Then we're going to do const fs equals require fs. Next, we're also going to declare the path, which will require path. Then the app. Okay. We've now set up the app.js file. All this does is import the packages we'll be using, and the fs module makes it easy to read and write files on the server. To demonstrate, we're going to create a single video route. When requested, it will send a video back to the client. Then we're going to do this. app.get video. Oops, sorry, I forgot a slash there. Then we're going to do a request. Do that. Then we're going to do res.send file assets/sample.mp4 to reference the video that we've put in our assets folder. Then we're going to do root directory name. This route simply serves the sample.mp4 video when requested. Now we're going to add an app.listen to the end of this file. This route simply serves the sample.mp4 video file when requested. Next, we're going to do app listen 4000 console.log listening on port 4000. And we don't actually need this. All this does is set up the server to listen on port 4000. Before we can run the server, we need to add a dev script to our script section in our package.json file. Let's add the dev script to our package.json file. So dev nodemon app.js. Oops, we don't need that comma. Alright. If we've done this correctly, we should just be able to simply run npm run dev. Okay. If you see this message, it means the server's working. Now that we've done that, we should just be able to go to localhost 4000/video, and our video should play. Beautiful. Now that we've got the server running, we can start working on the front end. What we want to do is open a terminal. Inside here, we want to make a directory called client. Then we want to go into the client folder. Inside the client folder, we want to run npx create react app dot. This will initialize a React app inside this folder. Okay, now that we've created a React app inside of this folder, we should be able to see it if we open the folder here. We'll have a bunch of all these new files here. Next, we're going to open the source folder here, and we're just going to open the app.js file. You'll see a bunch of code in here already, but what we're actually going to do is remove all that, and we're going to do this from scratch. First, I'm going to do import React from React. Then I'm going to do import ./app.css. Then we're going to create a functional component for the app, which is then going to return, div class name app. Then we're going to create a header, which we're going to give a class name of app-header. Next, we're going to use a video HTML element with controls, but we're going to mute the video. We're then going to do source equals http localhost 4000/video. Type is video/mp4, and that should be everything. Oh, we actually need to export the apps as a default. Okay, so that should all we need for this file. Now that we've got that, we should just be able to do npm start in the client terminal. This is going to start the app on localhost 3000. Okay. So we are now actually seeing the front end of this app on localhost 3000. So that's cool. So far, we've set up our server to serve a video file when requested. In reality, we want our React application to have two different views. We're going to set up a home view that will contain a list of all the videos, and then we're also going to have a player view where a single video will play once we select one. We'll just use Bootstrap to lay out our interface. So what we're going to do is add a bit of code to the head section of the index.html file. This will allow us to use Bootstrap. Rather than me type it out, I'm just going to copy and paste it. For the next step, we're going to need to install React Router DOM so that we can handle the routing of this app. We'll need to stop the app temporarily for this to work. So you can do that by hitting Ctrl+C in your terminal. Then we're going to do npm install --save React Router DOM. Okay, so now we've got React Router DOM installed as a dependency. So now what we want to do is open the source folder in our client folder, And then from there, we are going to create a new file, and it's going to be called home.js. Now what we're going to do in here is we're going to do some coding just to set out this layout. So we're going to do import React and component. Oh, I don't know why it's done that. From React. Import the link component, which will come from the React Router DOM library. Next, we're going to do export default class home extends component. We're going to then set up a constructor, and we'll set this .state to an empty array of videos. Then we'll do an async component did mount, which from here we're now going to do a try and catch block. So const response await fetch http localhost 4000 videos. Okay, const data equals await response.json. This dot set state videos and data. Okay. Alright, so now we need to do the catch part of our try catch block. So we're going to catch an error, and we want to console log the error if we get one, so we know what's wrong. Next, we're going to do our render function, which is going to be render return div class name equals app app-header as well in the class. We will also do a container class, which is a Bootstrap class. We're also going to do a row, which is another Bootstrap class. We're then going to do this .state.videos.map. We're going to map each video into a col-md4 div, which is a third of a column. Then we're going to do key video.id. We're then going to use a link component. We will get player slash the video ID. We'll wrap that inside another Bootstrap one, which is card border-0. And then we're going to do image source, and that will be equal to localhost 4000 video.poster. Alt tag will be video.name. Close that off. Hang on. I see. We forgot to do this. There we go. Okay. Then we want to do another div. That's going to be card-body. And then we're going to do some p tags, which are video.name. And we'll also do one more, which will be video.duration. We need another closing div tag here. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through what's actually happening here. So our component starts off by importing some required packages. Then it initializes the state variable videos to an empty array, which is here. In the component did mount, it makes a request to an endpoint, which will return an array of video metadata. The metadata will be represented as an array of objects, which we'll see what that looks like later. After fetching the video metadata, we render it as a list of videos. Each card is wrapped with a link to the player view, which will be created in the next section. Then, on this line here, another endpoint request is made to http localhost 4000 video.poster, which will return a thumbnail of a video in the list. This video.poster variable is populated with a value like, for example, /video/0/poster from the video metadata array. So the request will have the form. Oh, I need to change this. Since we've created the home view, now we're going to create the player view. So what we're going to do inside the source folder of the client folder is we're going to create another file, and we're going to call this one player.js. Alright, now we're going to start scaffolding the player.js file. So import React. Why does it keep doing that? Component from React. Then we're going to do export default class player extends component. Then we're going to do a constructor, which we're going to pass some props through. This.state video ID, this.props.match.params.id, and we're going to do video data as an empty object. Then from here, we're going to do an async component did mount. We're going to do another try and catch block, which will be const res await fetch http localhost 4000 video / this.state.video ID. /data. Const data equals array.res.json. This.set state video data. Then we're going to do catch an error, which then will console log the error if we have one. Then we're going to do a render, which will return div class app header class name equals app-header. Video controls muted autoplay. We're then going to set the source to one of our videos. Should be like so. Localhost 4000 /video / this.state.video ID. Type equals video /mp4. I'm going to close that. Do a h1 tag, which is simply going to be this.state.videodata.name. Now I'll run through quickly with this file what we're doing exactly. So on this line, we're basically just getting the video ID from the URL parameter. With the ID, we can make a request to the server to fetch metadata about the video, which is what is happening on this line. In the markup for the view, the video element source attribute is a link which appends to the ID to the video route, and the server responds with the actual video on this line here. That's all we need for both of the home and player.js files for now. So now we're going to go back to our app.js file again, and we're just going to make some changes to suit this. Alright, so now we can go back to our app.js file. What we're going to do now is we're going to do import routes, browser router, as router, and switch, which is all going to come from React router DOM. Then we're going to import the home component from ./home. We're also going to do the same thing for the player component, which is ./player. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this whole thing here. We're then going to change it to a router component, and we're going to put a switch component inside of that. Then we're going to do route exact path. And that component will be the home one that we want to render on this route. Then we're going to do another route, which will be the path of the player ID, which will then render the player component with the appropriate video. Right now we've got 4 requests from the front end that are not handled by our server yet. So let's tackle each one of them. First, let's return the metadata for the list of videos. What we'll do is we'll create an array of objects that will hold the metadata and send that to the front end when requested. In a real app, you'll probably be reading the data from a database, which would then be used to generate an array just like this. But for the sake of this video, we won't be doing that. We're just going to keep things simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the server folder and we're going to open app.js again. I'm going to close these for a bit because we're not going to need them at the moment. So now what we want to do is we want to do const videos array, and that will be ID 0 poster video /0 poster. The duration will be 3 minutes and the name will be sample1. Okay, so basically we just want to copy and paste this block a couple more times. And then we're going to change the ID to 1. We're going to change this to 1. We're also going to change this to, let's say, 4 minutes, and we'll change it to sample 2. We're then going to do an ID of 2, change the sample to 3, and we'll do, say, 2 minutes. And we'll also change this to 2. Basically what's happening is each object contains information about the video. Notice that the poster attribute, which contains the link to a poster image of the video. What we're going to do is later in this tutorial, we'll see how we can generate a poster image from a video. Now that we've done this, we want to create a new route, videos, that will send this data to the front end. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do const cause equals require cause. From there, we're going to go down here and we are going to do app.useCause. Then we're going to do app.get videos, do a request response, and we're going to do response.json videos. Okay. First, we enabled cause on the server. Since we'll be making the request from a different origin or domain, cause was installed in the application setup section. Then the videos route is declared, which returns the array we just created in JSON format. Once you've refreshed your app, you should see exactly what I'm seeing here. This is displaying the names and the durations of the videos, but not the thumbnails, which we're now going to sort. Our app fetches the video by ID, so we can use the ID to get the requested video metadata from the array. Let's create a new route that will handle this in the app.js file in the server folder by adding some code. So we'll go just here and we'll do app.get /video/id/data. I'm going to do a request and response. And we're going to do a const ID, which we will pass the integer, request the parameters .id 10. We'll then do response.json videos ID. If you haven't already, we actually need to grab the videos from the GitHub repo that we were talking about earlier in the video. There should be 3 of them. So what you want to do, and they're all called 0.mp4, 1.mp4, and 2.mp4. You just want to grab them, bring them over to the assets folder, and just put them in there. We can probably also delete the sample video now. Our player view should look different now, however, I've actually missed a line of code back in the player.js file, which we'll fix now. We actually need to add super props here, otherwise this is not going to work. If we open one of our videos, it should look like this now. Basically what we've done is we've just created a video route that serves a video to the client. The endpoint did not actually send smaller chunks of a video, instead it just served an entire video file on request. We now need to implement two new features that are not supported by that endpoint. First, we need to be able to dynamically serve one of the 3 videos that are in the videos array. Second, we need to stream the video in chunks. From here, we're going to go back to the server folder and we're going to open app.js again. We're then going to remove this line, or these 3 lines. Assuming that you've copied the videos into the assets directory, what we want to do now is add a snippet of code at the bottom of our routes. Here we're going to do app.get video ID request response const path equals assets slash request params dot id dot mp4. Then we're going to do const stat equals fs dot stat sync path. Const file size equals stat dot size. Then we're going to do const range equals request dot headers dot range. We're then going to do if range has a value, const path equals range dot replace slash bytes equals slash empty string. And I've done something wrong here. Nope, all good. Okay. Dot split. Const start equals pass int parts 0 10. Const end equals parts 1 if. So basically this will be a inline if statement. Otherwise, file size -1. Const chunk size equals end minus start +1. Const file equals fs dot create read stream. Path start end. Const head equals content range bytes start dash end slash file size comma accept ranges in bytes might want to change that. Content dash length chunk size, and we want this to be lowercase, I believe. Oh no, we don't. And the content dash type is video slash mp4. That will be the end of that one. Next we'll do res dot write head 206 head file dot pipe res. Then we'll do else const head equals content length file size content type video slash mp4. Res dot write head 200 comma head fs dot create read stream path dot pipe res. And we'll do this too. Inside our browser, we just want to click one of the videos and we're going to test it. And look at that, the video plays. How awesome. So we've just written a fair bit of code and you're probably a bit lost or confused, especially if you're a beginner. So I'll just run through what exactly we've done. First, we get the ID from the route, which is /video/:ID, and we use it to generate the path to the video. Using fs, we read the file to get the file size. For videos, a user's browser will send a range parameter in the request. This lets the server know which chunk of the video to send back to the client. But some browsers don't send a range in the initial request, whereas some do. For those that don't, or if for some reason the browser just doesn't simply send one, we'll handle that in an else block. This code gets the file size and sends the first few chunks of the video. The else block that we wrote here is what handles exactly what I've just explained. Subsequent requests will include a range, which we handle in the if block from here. This code creates a read stream using the start and end values of a range. We then set the response headers, setting the content length to the chunk size that is calculated from the start and end values. We also use HTTP code 206, which signifies that the response contains partial content. This means the browser will keep making requests until it has fetched all chunks of the video. You might have noticed our home view appears broken at the moment because the poster images are not generated. To generate the thumbnails for these posters, we'll need to install FFMPEG on our system. We can do this by killing the terminal. Oh, actually, we need to do this in the server directory. So kill your server by pressing Ctrl+C. And then we're going to do npm install save thumb supply. You can download FFmpeg by clicking on the link in the video description below. Assuming that you've installed FFmpeg and also thumb supply, we should just be able to go into our app file in the server folder. Then we just need to put in our requirements const thumb supply equals require thumb supply. Now we need to create a new route that will handle generating thumbnails. So we're going to add some code after the other routes in the same file. From here, we're going to do app.get slash video slash ID slash poster. We're going to do a request response. Then we'll do thumb supply dot generate thumbnail assets request params dot ID dot mp4, and we're going to do dot then thumb into res dot send file thumb. Thumb supplier provides a generate thumbnail method which accepts a path to the video and then generates a thumbnail. If you've done this correctly, you should now see your videos will have thumbnails. Next, we want to add captions to the videos. So basically from here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a caption file. Inside the server project, we're going to create a captions directory under the assets folder. So we're going to do captions. You can also do mkdir captions inside the assets folder in the terminal. However, this is much quicker. So inside here, we're going to create a new file. And this one's going to be sample.vtt. Copy and paste the code I put in the description below for this file. Save that. Now we're going to add the track element to player.js file. The track element is used to support timed text tracks. So we're going to update the video element in player.js like so. We're going to do cross origin equals anonymous. In addition, we're going to add a track label element, and we're going to do English, kind, captions, source lang equals en, and then we're going to do source http localhost 4000 slash video slash $ this dot state dot video ID slash caption default, and that should be our closing tag sorted. We've also added the cross origin equals anonymous attribute to the video element, otherwise the request for captions will fail. With the track element set up, we can now create the endpoint that will handle caption requests. So we're going to go back to our app.js file in the server folder. After this route, we're going to do app.get /video /ID /caption, comma, request response res.send file, and then we're going to do assets /captions /sample.vtt. We're also going to add a root directory name, and that should all be that's required. If you play a video, you should now see captions in it. What we're going to do now is we're going to do some styling so we can make this whole app look a bit better. So we're going to open app.css. In here, we just want to pretty much remove everything, and we're going to do app header min height 100 viewport color of white, can't type. For the header and the footer, we want a background color of we want a background color of 374153. Text align center, color white, padding will be 10 pixel 0. We'll do specifically for the header, margin bottom 50 with a font size of 28 pixel. We will do specifically for the footer a margin top of 50 pixel and a font size of 14 pixel. For the card class, we're going to do margin 10 pixel 0. For the A tags and the hover state of them, we are going to do a color of 282C34, text decoration of none. We're then going to do the video, which will be a width of 100%, height will be 50 viewport, or view height, sorry. Image, it will be a height of 200 pixel, object fit will be cover, object position will be center top, and then we're going to do the P tag, which will be margin bottom 5 pixel, font size 16. Okay. Now we want to go over to the index.css file, and we want to basically remove all this, and we want to do the body, margin 0, font family, Poppins, sans serif, and we will do WebKit, font smoothing, entailized. Is that how you spell it? Not sure. Oh, no, it's not. it's like that. There we go. Knew something was wrong. -moz osx -font smoothing grayscale. Background color will be 282C34. Inside the public / index HTML file, we want to add the fonts. So copy and paste the code in the description below for the fonts. So what we're going to do now is to create header and footer components in the source directory of our client folder. So we're going to go into the source folder, we're going to do a new file. We're going to do header.js, and we're also going to do, meant to do a file, footer.js. We'll start with the header. Import React from React. We'll do a functional component of header. We will return a HTML header element with utunnel. Then we'll do export default header. Okay. Now let's go over to the footer component. We're going to do import React from React. Then we're going to do a functional component of footer. And we're going to do a return. And we're going to do a HTML footer element. And we're going to do just a little copyright thingy. 2021. We're going to do utunnel.all rights reserved. And we're going to do export default footer. Now we want to import these components that we've just created in our home and player files. So we're going to go to home. We're then going to import header from /header and import footer from /footer. Copy these lines of code, and then we will also put them in our player component. Save that. We're then going to add our header and footer components to the home and player.js files. So what we'll do is we'll put the header component here, and then just at the end we will put the footer component. Okay, and do the same for the player folder. Okay, now that that's done, this is what your app should look like. And that's looking pretty good. Yeah, so if you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.